It is lights out and away we go. Hello, racers. Welcome to episode 35 of the Harder Soft F1 podcast. We're back, and I'm your host, Adrian Huff, and I'm joined, by my co-host, RJ McCullough. What is up, RJ?
Yes, we are back, and it is episode 35. That's flown by so far. We got a lot to talk about today, so we're not going to waste too much time, but yeah, it's good to be back talking to you on the same I don't know what you want to call it, recording this week. We got some Vegas stuff to talk about. We got Brazil to talk about. But first, I guess we'll just jump into the weekly goings-on with the driver rumors, which now is down to basically Ricciardo and Haas. There's been some slight rumors on both. So the latest on Ricciardo that I've seen is Toto said basically that Mercedes and Red Bull are kind of both in talks with him to be there to take like a reserve driver role for next year. So that's I guess our teams are going to be battling it out for Danny, so that'll be something interesting to follow. And then the latest on Haas is, I don't know, there's one guy that's saying it's pretty much a done deal that Hülkenberg will be back and Mick will be out. So do you have any thoughts on either of those?
I think it's mixed emotions that Daniel is potentially going to be Red Bull's reserve driver. That is, I mean, there's just a lot of history there. I mean, as a Red Bull fan, yeah, I love it. The possibility of Daniel driving Red Bull again, like, I would love to see that, even if it's just one time. Even if poor old Sergio was to get COVID in Brazil. I'm just kidding. But Haas, yeah, Nico's definitely replacing Mick. And did you happen to see the quote that Gunther or that Gunther quote on the F1 subreddit?
Essentially, he doesn't give a shit or something like that. What people think?
He said, "Deal with it."
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, yeah, pretty much.
I mean, that's why people love Gunther, is his sort of like fuck off attitude. I mean, which is true. That is how the sport is. I mean, I love Mick, but he hasn't really put in a result to warrant keeping the seat as sort of disappointing as Haas has sort of always been. Even though they've done a little bit better this year, they've actually got points, but still, it's definitely mixed emotions for both of those.
Yeah, I mean, I would obviously like to see Mick stay in F1. I think this doesn't mark necessarily like the end of his career in F1. He could certainly come back in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, however long it may be. But I don't know, I guess since they're just wanting to be a midfield team, if you were to say, like, if Hülkenberg were in the car this year, would they have got more points? Like, yeah, they probably would have. So I guess if that's their issue and Mick's crashing, it's just going to be weird, like, if you were to go back a few years and say, like, Haas's lineup, it's going to be Hülkenberg and Kevin Magnussen in 2023. Probably wouldn't believe you, but, I mean, here we are now with that, and then especially then throwing in Danny Rick being a reserve driver for Red Bull or Mercedes. So, yeah, those are kind of, I guess, things we kind of talk about every week, but there's always new news on them, it seems. So, something that we...
Can I just say that you pretty much, you predicted this months ago, because we posted a YouTube short and a TikTok. You can follow us at HarderSoftF1. That it was the infamous "Suck My Balls, Mate" clip, and we reposted that. And you actually uploaded that, and you said, "Imagine their teammates in 2023." Which back then I was like, "Oh, low key, definitely not going to happen." But like, look where we are now. Like, you for sure called that shit like literally months ago. Like, I'm gonna look up the timestamp for that actually. So while we move on.
But just between them two on the grid together, and then Ocon being with Gasly in the same team, so Netflix has just got to be licking their chops, especially because even Helmut Marko, even though I don't believe the word that comes out of his mouth, Helmut Marko even said that Mercedes is going to be much more competitive next year. So, I mean, he's probably just another troll from him, but I'll take something positive coming out of his mouth, because when I saw it first, Red Bull says on Mercedes, I was like, oh no, here we go. And it was a kind of a good thing. So yeah,
right.
When you look up that timestamp, think it was a couple months ago. We've talked recently about the F1 movie that Brad Pitt's making. So there's been a couple quotes that are coming out about it. And actually, I wouldn't bring it up usually, but it sounds pretty exciting. So I'm going to kind of go quote by quote until you interject with the timestamp. So the first one, I mean, this one's got to be taken with a grain of salt because it comes from Lewis and he's involved in the movie. But he said he's already called the movie the best racing movie that's ever existed. So, yeah, that's good stuff.
It's a bold statement.
Yeah, bold statement. But I mean, it is being made by the guys that made Top Gun Maverick, which was amazing. So Frederick Vassar, the Alfa Romeo team principal, he said it could be a mega step forward for F1 in general, as Netflix did a couple years ago with Drive to Survive. So that's pretty big praise. Gunther Steiner said he was particularly impressed by the technology they were using. They used it to do Maverick. I didn't know that this existed, so I think they are the best and out there at the moment to do something like this. It's very good. Doing something like this with this caliber of people, blah, blah, blah. Just typical Gunther comments. What else do we have? Andreas Seidel, McLaren team principal, commented on it, saying a bit of Top Gun style, which I think for Formula One will just be great for the fans, for the sport, for us teams being involved as well. I'm looking forward to that project, seeing it, first of all, coming to life next year for us, when it's actually happening, and then seeing the movie later on. And then I finished by saying there's suggestions that the film would be shot during F1 weekends in the second half of the 2023 season. So that could be kind of cool if they're using like shots from on track and getting like on cams and all that to use in the movie.
Yeah,
because it sounds like they're trying, like from what they're saying, the technology and stuff they're using that they use in Top Gun. So it's gonna at least look and sound pretty cool. Whether or not the storyline is like mind blowing or that great remains to be seen.
Yeah.
But those, like I said, I wouldn't have brought it up if it didn't seem like they're actually going out of their way to say some pretty good things about it. So that's exciting at the very least.
Is Hamilton a producer?
Yeah, he's a producer.
Yeah, I'm definitely super excited. I think like I haven't seen Maverick like in the theater. I didn't go see it, unfortunately, but I've seen lots of clips from it, obviously. But I mean, I haven't got to experience the full film, but you know, obviously the reputation that it got has just been absolutely out of this world. And like some of the shit that they do in those movies and the Mission Impossible films is like so crazy. So that with Formula One is like going to be so sick. I think them saying that it's going to be the level, it's going to do to Formula One what Drive to Survive did in like North America. It's going to achieve the same thing. That is, to me, is just like hype talk. Mm-hmm. Like,
yeah,
that's like come on, why just talk about how cool it's going to be. Like, why are we comparing it? Like
that's stuff that gets me excited though.
But for sure, that's what it's meant to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But I guess I can't fault them for that because it's just it's movie talk. But is there a so I was going to say, is there a release date? But you said it's going to start. They're going to get shots during the latter half of next season. So I can't imagine it'll come out sooner than 2024, 2025 at the latest, maybe.
Yeah,
so,
sounds like that.
Long time.
Yeah,
but we're talking about it right now. So when we eventually go see it, here's the thing: we might get invited to the premiere by then. It's going to take that long for that movie to come out. It could happen.
Never know. Could happen. Fingers crossed.
That's where we'll meet Toto Wolff on the red carpet.
Oh man. So yeah, I think it'll be also funny to see like if they're filming it next year, there'll be people in the movie doing roles in Formula One that they'll be like behind the scenes, but then in a few years they may not be in Formula One anymore. So it'll be kind of funny for like diehard F1 fans to kind of point out people that are in different roles or whatever, wearing different, in different paddocks or whatever the case may be. But yeah, on the topic of Lewis Hamilton, there was two quick things. I watched, there was it's called Through the Visor, something like that. There's he retold his version of last year's Brazil race, which was like my favorite race I've ever watched. He said it was one of his best races ever. Just from starting 20th to getting up to fifth with the sprint race, and then getting another grid penalty back to 10th, and then beating Max and the way it all went down. Some really cool quotes and stuff from his perspective. Kind of hearing how he went about Max kind of pushing him off track on the one lap, and then kind of like dummying him into a move on the next lap. Just some kind of funny stuff there. And there was one moment he was talking about like how he passed Checo and then Checo passed him, and he's like, yeah, and then I went to pass the Max's teammate. Like he completely forgot Sergio Perez's name, so that was kind of interesting. Like, he was just thinking like, was that Gasly? Was it Albon? Like, but yeah. So anyways, that's worth a watch. Like 8 minutes, but it's cool. Like behind the scenes, so it's cool to hear like drivers' perspective of like how they pulled their moves, and like, oh, I took the outside angle because I forced him to the inside because I knew I'd be able to gain more speed if I took the longer way around. Blah blah blah. So just kind of cool stuff from that perspective. But he also was asked like where the hammer time quote came from, and it was nothing like extravagant. It was just that when his like radio guy would tell him to push, and he'd be like, "Oh, I am pushing." He eventually just said like, if you mean just like not just go all out, but like give it absolutely everything no matter what, like don't hold anything back, then say hammer time. But anyways, there's a quote that came from it that I liked. So he's just talking about his like radio guy. He said he's probably one of the few people that that can truly stand by me, I would say, on the good and bad days, except for Roscoe. So I like that he just had to throw his dog in there. That's nice. I always like a comment about the dog. But
yeah, we love Roscoe content. I love all the posts he does there. I mean, that dog has like nicer clothes than I do.
Oh yeah, that dog's living the life. The spa treatments.
I want to just pet Roscoe, just as a dog lover. Just want to love him.
I know his coat looks so soft. His fur, he's so well taken care of.
We need to start marketing Bogey as an F1 dog, so we can get Bogey and Roscoe to meet one day. Oh,
I know. I need to get her some like dog Lewis Hamilton merchandise. Put that on. Take some pictures. Tag Lewis in them.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what you have to do.
That's the new plan.
I love it.
All right, Mom, if you're listening, let's get on that.
How would she react to meeting Roscoe, do you think?
I don't know if she'd be more excited to meet Lewis or Roscoe. Probably Lewis, but she's a huge dog lover as well. So I don't know. That's a good question, Mom. You'll have to let us know because I know you're listening. She listens to every episode. All right. Make myself sound like more of a loser. But anyways, here we go. Love you, Mom.
No.
Okay, here we go. On to the next topic. That's enough talk about my mom. She's going to be so happy. Okay, so now I have a question for you because we're moving on to Vegas now. We're moving on to Vegas.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, I got my Lewis stuff out of the way. So, well, this kind of ties into Lewis. But so Vegas, the big show, the I guess 1 year precursor to the Vegas race, the big unveiling party show. So Lewis Hamilton was there. George Russell was there. And Checo was there. So the two Mercedes drivers and the one Red Bull driver was there. Max, there's no way Max wasn't supposed to be there. Like, what? As Mr. Red Bull, what is your explanation for this? I mean, it's kind of a little bit rude of him not show up. Like, what else was he doing last week?
I'm not sure. I have no idea how the logistics work as far as the PR team, because I mean there was even that moment where I'm trying to remember the exact moment where they asked Sergio basically, it was about him talking to Sky Sports. I can't remember if it was George or Lewis. They asked him if he was allowed to talk to him, and he's like they're not here, I'm here.
yeah
but
exactly.
I don't know. I mean, I think it would have been sick if Max, had been able to make it, but I have no idea. I mean, his family has been the Lewis Hamilton subreddit and the Formula One subreddit love to talk about the Paquettes, which, I mean, I get it. They say some pretty out of pocket shit, so I mean, maybe it had something to do with that. It definitely didn't, but.
They're always in some hot water.
Yeah, exactly. I shouldn't have even brought that shit up. Max, I'm so sorry. I know you're listening, but come on, man. I'm your biggest fan. Don't be too hard on me.
I don't know. I think it was obviously a big. It was obviously a big moment for F1. If for Lewis Hamilton show up, and George and Checo. I mean, they've already wrapped up the driver's title and the constructors. Just would have been nice for Max to do something PR related for F1. He was always taking the like, I'm not going to do Netflix. I'm not going to talk to Sky Sports. I'm not going to go to Vegas. Like, you're making like $50 million a year here, pal. Maybe show up once or twice.
Your Max sounds pretty close to your Lance.
Well, it's not too. They have similar facial structures, I guess.
Yeah.
AKA ugly.
that's like half the grid.
Yeah, I know they kind of all have like narrow faces.
They do.
But yeah, so for the people that did show up, did show up, Lewis put on a show. He was doing donuts in the safety car, in the Mercedes car. The Mercedes car had a really cool like neon lights underneath it that obviously they would never use in a race, but it looked really cool. I don't know if you've seen the videos of that. That looked really cool. What else did they have? They had like a cool drone show. They went all out. Drone of like an F1 car. That looked really cool. Yeah, the Mercedes car was really sick. Yeah, George and Lewis there. They drove through, and this was just like this wasn't part of like the track or anything. Obviously, I don't even know why I bothered saying that, but they drove through part of the casino. So that's just kind of like a cool video, just to imagine sitting there and you see like a Red Bull F1 car just rip through a casino. But
I just lost my house, Sergio.
Yeah, and I feel like just the wind that would really drag, like whatever comes off the car would just like all the chips and everything would just go everywhere. It'd be kind of cool. But yeah, the I guess main takeaway aside from I do want to get up into them messing up the starting line because that was funny. But I guess the main takeaway was they kind of asked them, and I don't really know how much of the track, like the preview track or whatever they actually drove, but they did drive like a bit of what is going to be the track, and they did have some updates to the track. Like there's a chicane they put in, but basically the first or the only like actual real impression I heard was George Russell. He said that, and I'm paraphrasing here, he basically said that it's not going to be a fun track for the drivers, but it's going to be a fun track for the fans to watch. So I don't know if he's just saying it's going to be shit, but it's a good spectacle, or if he's just saying like it's a street track, so like realistically it's probably going to be kind of hard and like bumpy maybe a little bit. Maybe that's why it's going to be not fun for the drivers. I hope he doesn't just mean it's going to be like just shit, but it's Vegas, so it's going to be a spectacle. What would you take by that?
I mean, maybe he means it's just like a difficult track to drive. Like it's definitely a spectacle for sure. Yeah. The race itself is going to be like, I mean, that is like for sure going to be the most anticipated race just as far as a spectator goes next year. So he's not wrong there. But I mean, the wind, like you said, in Vegas is pretty tough. I mean, it's like flat desert, you know, it's going to be some pretty tough winds. So I imagine it is going to be like, I can't imagine it'll be, knock on wood, but you know, like a completely incident free race, at least as far as like a yellow flag or virtual safety car or something like that goes. Cause just from, I mean, the layout itself doesn't necessarily look like too rough. I mean, what the fuck do I know? But I imagine that from a technical standpoint, it could definitely be one of like the more tougher tracks to drive, because they said the same thing about Miami. So
right.
I guess the U.S. just has some like tough fucking tracks.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it kind of lends more to tough in the same way Coda is tough, not tough in the same way Miami was tough, because I think we can, as much as that was a great spectacle and kind of a fun track to drive on the video game, maybe not the best for an inaugural Miami Grand Prix in terms of the actual race, but that's okay because you got to start somewhere.
For sure. In the game though, phenomenal. I love driving it.
But yeah, I'd imagine it'll be in Vegas. Like even though it's a night race, it'll still be humid. Could be pretty windy, and then there's a lot of like just different elements they'll have to deal with. Like I don't even know, like would all those lights, like all the lights of the strip and stuff, would that bother them? I have no idea. But yeah, I don't know if you also saw.
Cool.
Oh yeah, it'll look cool like on their cams and stuff, but I don't know if it'll affect their visibility. I just remembered also I saw a video of Lewis at a nightclub like DJing or like beside the DJ dancing in Vegas one of the nights, and then I didn't see it at first, but I saw some of the comments and I went back and looked, and his dad was up there beside him just giving it on the like between Lewis and the DJ. His dad was just up there. Is Anthony or whatever his name is? He was just going to town, so that was kind of cool to see. Good moment between them, but also kind of funny.
Tracks.
They're both like, so it's like Lewis is like a 40-year-old man, and then his dad's like, I don't know, early 60s probably. They're just up there in front of like thousands of people at a club in Vegas. But hey,
I mean they have like an extremely like strong father-son relationship.
Yeah, it's gone through some ups and downs, but it's strong.
Definitely, it's definitely a parallel from Yos and Max. Did you watch the David Letterman episode?
I did, yeah.
Lewis Hamilton.
That was really cool stuff.
Yeah, we talked about that weeks ago, like towards the beginning of the season. But it is so good. Highly recommend it. Some great footage, and you get a lot of insight into Hamilton's life. David Letterman is just a really, really good interviewer. Big fucking surprise. It's like he did it for 50 fucking years or something.
Right. But yeah, he actually seems to care when he's interviewing, which is good. Did you see the starting line thing? Because it's a little bit hard to explain other than like very basically, but did you see the messing up the starting line?
I did not. I did see all the donuts and all the Checo and George and Lewis footage, but I did not see the starting line.
Okay, so I'll try and explain it like very simply. Basically, they had a bunch of like CEOs and rich people and important F1 people. Sorry, I just had a fly in front of my face. There, and they were each supposed to like put down a stamp that was going to mark like a checkered flag on the starting line, like it's going to be black or white, and it was going to make a checkered flag starting line. So they each had their one stamp, and somewhere along the line, someone messed up what they were supposed to do. A very seemingly simple task, but I'll put pictures in the video of what they did to the starting line. It's not like egregious or anything, but they're going to obviously have to replace it because it's just not a checkered flag in certain spots.
They fucked it up.
So somehow when you put rich people involved in things with F1, they just can't do it because people were making a lot of comparisons to the Tim Cook waving the flag a couple weeks ago. And in fact, I think Tim Cook was there. So he should just maybe stay away from F1. Maybe don't get like an Apple F1 team would be pretty cool. But
it's so strange to me. I know we're kind of heading to the end of the the Vegas talk, but something that has also come up pretty recently is the cost of the event. Now, there is they've been opening like lots and lots of F1 like merchandise stores. They've opened like a simulator type place. They just opened up a simulator bar in London. It's apparently outrageously priced, but really cool. But big surprise. That's that's what I'm getting to. The prices are outrageous. Like in Vegas, like the tickets, and somebody on the subreddit posted the actual layout, like it's color coded of the sections of seating, and the actual like admission ticketed seating is covering like such a fucking small part of the track. Like they are not gonna be able to sell that many tickets, and that's why tickets are literally costing like $10,000 fucking dollars to go watch an F1 race. So that's sort of like a problem to me. I know we are gonna really try hard to get some press passes to the races, sort of like you were able to with the IndyCar race this year. But it is just like that's the sad thing, is that like as ambitious or as ambitious as we want to be, like F1 commentators or whatever, podcasters, whatever the term is, that's the only way we really have a chance to go to these races. I mean, you went to Montreal, but you even said it yourself, the price raised from last year to now is unbelievable.
Yeah,
and that's
it's
just
outrageous.
and that's like and that's just like Canada and all the U.S. I mean, I guess Austin is probably around the same as Montreal, but Miami and Vegas, you're not getting tickets to those unless you fucking own like a fucking car dealership or a tech company. Like, I don't know, like unless you are a well-off person. So
I think they're sorry, I think they're being really short-sighted because they've got in all these new fans, so they're obviously just trying to make raise the price as high as they can because they know people are gonna buy it because they want to experience it. But once you go and you get shafted, like, and you spend like a shit ton of money, when you look at to go again next year, you're just not gonna be able to, especially if they keep raising the prices, and so they're gonna lose a lot of these fans, or maybe not even lose them, but kind of it puts a damper on it. Like, you don't want to be, and I know they are sort of an elitist sport, I guess you'd say, just because like the barriers to entry, but like you don't want to just price out a lot of these new fans that are extremely passionate about it, obviously, and that's unfortunately what it looks like is happening like everywhere across all of F1. Like, it's happening in Europe too, and it's been one of the number one sports there for so long, but even they're feeling the Netflix bump. Like, it's really unfortunate.
Yeah, like you said, it is an elitist sport, but like, I mean, in the 90s or even in the 2000s when Michael Schumacher was in his like reign of championship wins, I like we could have gone to the Indianapolis race, you know, if we were as passionate as we are back then, we could have easily gotten tickets, you know. It's like just so, I mean, yes, I understand price increases with popularity, but all these rich investors, these people that are putting all this money into Formula One, like if they want to compete with like these sports like the NFL, the NHL, the NBA, it's not going to happen unless, and I don't know what the answer is either, because, you know, there's only so many seating, but like even the people that pay all this money, you know, the amenities and all that shit is like garbage at every race. Like on the subreddit every weekend, it's always like, I waited 2 hours to go to the bathroom and missed most of qualifying. Like, it's like absolute nightmare. So
it's like the only good experiences are you have to get like a corporate box or whatever, and like so it just ends up being all business and corporate people like, oh, and like they're not even real fans. They're just like, someone's like, oh, we have business seats to this, do you want to come? And they're like, oh yeah, that'll be cool. But the people that are the true fans like just are priced out of it. So yeah, it sucks. But on to Brazil. Both of us, one of our favorite races, one of our favorite tracks. It's pretty much always a good race. Obviously a great one last year for me. But it is a sprint race. So we have our final sprint race of the year. So the times are Friday practice 1, 10:30 a.m. and this is Eastern Standard Time. Qualifying 2 p.m. on Friday, so keep that in mind if you're at work. And then Saturday practice 2, 10:30. Saturday sprint at 2:30 p.m. and then the race is Sunday at 1 p.m. So for those of us that like F1 and for football, we're gonna have a bit of a tough choice. Got a big Bills game this Sunday and an F1 race at 1, but it's Brazil, so I'm gonna have 2 TVs going. I'll have the volume on the F1. But big weekend. I like the sprint race. I know there's mixed things.
I will be working Saturday and Sunday, but I will be watching as much as I can during work, and then watching the entire thing afterwards. I'm hopefully gonna get someone to take my Saturday shift because I really want to watch the sprint race.
Yeah. No, yeah. Sprint races they haven't been. I mean, there's sometimes they're setting when like someone has to start from the back, or there's like grid penalties, or people are actually willing to risk it. I'm hoping now that the championships are wrapped up that people will kind of be willing to risk it a little bit more. One person that doesn't like it, perfect segue, is Max Verstappen, Mr. Complainer, me. So his opinion on them is that he doesn't like it. He says, for me, I don't enjoy the weekend format. I don't mind the one practice and straight into qualifying. That's probably better. I just don't like there's no feeling with it. all the time when I do these races, it's all about, oh, let's not damage it. Make sure you stay in the top 3. And for me, that's not really a race. I think we should just stick to one race. I understand what the problem is with that. On the surface, like, I guess, but I mean, when you say, oh, let's not damage it, just make sure you stay in the top 3. Like, you're literally the only person on the grid. Maybe, like, there's maybe only 1 or 2 people on the grid that can, like, that's not really what it is for pretty much anyone else. It's a pretty cocky thing to say. Like, I just, I got to make sure I get in the top 3. Like, that'd be great for most people. But, yeah, I guess, and, like, I personally, I don't really care if he doesn't have, like, if there's no feeling with it for him. Because as a TV viewer, it is better if you don't have to work on the Friday afternoon. It gives you 3 days of interesting things, qualifying, sprint, and race.
For sure.
So I would tend to disagree with Max. Shocker. But, yeah, what else did he say about it? Basically, everybody's super careful because if you're fighting for third and you have a little touch and you drop back to P whatever or last, then your race on Sunday is going to be really tough. So you're probably not going to risk it. That's not what a race should be about. So yeah, like that's kind of the main detractor of it. I can see his point, but
yeah, that part,
like,
I understand.
Yeah, but I guess, like, again, that's more relevant for the guys at the top of the grid, like the people that are at the back of the grid. It is a good chance to make up some places for the race, especially if you're in a faster car. Like, if say Ferrari has a good penalty and Leclerc has to go back to P20 like Lewis did last year. Like, not to say he's going to come all the way through, but it would make it more exciting. Even if, like, Danny's still doing well and he can, like, have a good sprint race or something. I don't know. It makes it exciting somewhat. Yeah. So yeah, I like it personally, but I can definitely see it's not a perfect format. I hope they're moving to 6 next year, so hopefully they'll iron out the kinks, I guess.
Yeah, I'm low-key not super down for 6. I think 6 is a little excessive. I think it takes sort of the specialness, I guess, is how you can say it. It takes it I don't know. 6 is just too much for me. I think 3 is, they're like surprises throughout the year. Like, oh, there's a sprint this weekend. Awesome. 6, it's like, it's going to seem a little too much. So I feel like 3 really was the nice number, but 6 is a lot. I'm not going to lie, but we'll see how it goes next year. But I mean, I'm never going to complain to get more racing, but like, it's a lot.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to change the format up a bit. Like, they gave more points this year, but I think they're going to have to incentivize it more. Like, I don't know how many more points they can give.
Yeah,
because then you're just moving into a race territory. But like, maybe, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Maybe you get certain points for a certain amount of overtakes or something. I don't know. There's got to be some format that they can do. I know F2 does like reverse grid, but I don't know if that works.
I like that shit.
It would be so sick for the fans, but I don't know. Like,
no, they'll never do it.
Yeah, it doesn't really give any
Yeah, I like where the points are at. I think 10, for first, and then so on and so forth. I really like that. I think where it was last year was it was embarrassing. It was like completely pointless. But we've talked about that. But
yeah,
I don't know, 6. I just pray to God that they never go past 6, because I think 6 is literally probably the limit. I know they're wanting to, but no way.
No, I completely agree. But yeah, the track, not too much to say about the track. Like, really, really fun track. Like, they've been driving here for years, so anyone that's watched will pretty much know the track. We'll see lots of Ayrton Senna stuff. Lewis just got hit. Like, he got named honorary citizen, but I think he received it today or whatever. I'm not giving the exact details right on that, but
congrats to him. It's amazing.
Yeah, so there'll be lots of Lewis and Ayrton Senna stuff, I'm sure. It'd be cool if he rocked like a Ayrton Senna helmet. I haven't seen what his helmet is yet this week, but yeah, other than that, let's see, it's 71 laps, lap record 110. So yeah, the DRS here is really strong around like the first DRS we saw, like where Lewis and Max kind of had their battles. Like, the DRS is huge pull, so that'll be really cool to see. The weather, now the weather is going to could just throw everything into a spanner. I don't know if we're even going to get a race, but I'm praying we do, because usually Brazil, I don't know, they usually handle it a little bit better with the track conditions and stuff. But do you want to just go through I put it on the notes, or you want to just read through the weather report for the weekend?
Sure, yes. This is from weather.com.
Yeah.
So Friday afternoon, they definitely are forecasting thunderstorms. It's going to be 28 degrees Celsius with a 56% chance of rain. On Saturday, temperatures drop to 25 degrees, and there's a chance of rain. Goes up from 56 to 81%. Thunderstorms are on the radar. Finally, things don't look a lot better for the Grand Prix itself. It's going to be 29 degrees, and thunderstorms are going to linger all around the circuit on Sunday. So there's a high 70% chance of rain on Sunday as well. So, yeah, we're most likely going to get a wet practice or a wet sprint or a wet race. One of those for sure. So let's hope the FIA actually have the balls to let these dudes race. So we'll see how that happens. I mean, if it's like a torrential downpour, then I'll understand. Daniel Ricciardo actually mentioned on YMH in his brief 20-minute segment that the cars this year have a lot worse spray when they're in the wet, apparently, according to him. So I understand them being a little bit more cautious, but let's see some racing.
Yeah, I think he said Suzuka was the scariest race he's had. You
Yes.
just couldn't see anything. You're just kind of going off the line you have in your brain.
Mm-hmm. And that track is scary, on dries. It's a tough fucking
there's
track.
so many spots to spin out.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that'll be interesting. I mean, yeah, we really don't need another weekend where it's just hour-long delays and then a 20-lap race. We don't need that. There's only 2 races left. Let's get in. If they have to cancel the sprint race or whatever, so be it. But don't mess with the race on Sunday. We need a race, even if it's wet,
Yes.
as long as it's not just torrential. And I guess they have to delay it if there's thunderstorms. I would assume. I'm not exactly sure how that goes.
Yeah, probably.
With all that machinery, it would make sense. But yeah, let's just kind of hope for the best on that one. In terms of who's going to actually win, the betting odds are highly in Max's favor. If you bet $100 and he won, you'd only get back 144, so 44 profit. But everyone else, you'd make a good amount of money. Lewis is 6.5 to 1. Charles 7 to 1. So Lewis is the second favorite. And then Perez 11 to 1. Russell, I think 15 to 1. Sainz 26 to 1. And then everyone after that is a lottery pick. So yeah, if anyone out there is interested in betting on there, anyone other than Max, you can make some good money. Lewis obviously drives well at this track, and he has lots of incentive to win this week. Hopefully,
yes, he does.
Hopefully, this is the final of the week. So only got 2 chances left. So I'm obviously going to put that as my prediction. Realistically, Max. But hey, you never know. What do you think is going to happen this weekend, or what are you hoping to see happen this weekend in across the quali, the sprint, the race? I mean, are you just hoping to see Max sweep all 3, or do you want to see it kind of jumbled?
Man, at this point, I just want to see somebody that's not Max win.
Okay.
And I say that so endearingly. I love Max, so it needs to be someone else though. We need some more entertainment. I mean, somebody showed the wins since Binotto said there's no reason Ferrari can't win the last 11 or 12 races or whatever it was, and then it's just Max, Perez, Max. It's get fucking shit on Binotto. That's Ferrari's mantra. Get shit on. But it's about them. So it's definitely want a Lewis win. Because I mean, for this and Abu Dhabi, I mean, Max is, I feel almost certainly going to win in Abu Dhabi, but it would be so awesome to see someone else win. I mean, it's literally only been 3. Did Sainz win?
4.
Sainz?
Yeah.
Sainz won. So there's literally only been
Silverstone.
4 winners, and even then, that's 1. 1 for Sainz, 2 for Perez, not many more for Leclerc.
Yeah, it's been complete domination for Max.
Yeah.
Props to him, but it would be nice to see, for Mercedes' sake, they have been, they put in, obviously, when you're not in first place, you have a huge, seems like a endless gap to climb. So they've have seemingly to climb that gap a little bit. It's hard to really say, but hopefully they can pay it off this weekend. Whether that comes with Red Bull making a mistake or Mercedes just having the pace, but it seems like they either mess it up in qualifying or something happens in the race, or I don't know. But with all the rain this weekend that's forecast, seems like we haven't had really one of those insane races where someone comes out of nowhere to win like Ocon last year. So hey, maybe that'll be whether it's, even if it's not Lewis, it would be kind of cool to see someone randomly win. Maybe Mick Schumacher wins and then Haas has to keep him next year. That would be pretty sweet. Or Danny wins and then just throws everything into frenzy. I don't know. I'm kind of just hoping for something crazy.
As much as I would love that, Lando's already said, "Yo, the McLaren is gonna be awful this weekend. It's gonna be
true.
Terrible."
And if it was good, Lando needs to get his first win, and they would do team orders for sure if they were both in the mix. But
oh yeah, definitely. We would not get Monza.
No
fucking way.
No chance. That's about it. Did you find that timestamp for my prediction?
Yes, it was. I believe it was the last day of September that I posted it.
All right, so about a month and a half, almost a month. All right, not too bad. Yeah,
pretty good.
Nostradamus Merge. That was a good one.
Oh my god!
I'll work on that one. Couldn't see that one coming.
All right, I was like, "What the fuck?"
All right, well, I guess that might be a good note to end it on. I don't really have anything else. Just
I don't
rooting
either.
For Lewis again this weekend.
Was it.
I don't know. One more question, I guess. I could just check right here. But do you know off the top of your head, is Abu Dhabi next weekend or the weekend after?
I can check really
November
quick.
18th to 20th. So next weekend.
Yeah.
So we got back-to-backs, and then we're done. Then we're going to have
to
go into off-season mode with all our new content and stuff that we're going to try. So we'll leave that as a teaser. And
yes.
Yeah, back-to-backs. Let's hope it's a good finale.
Wow.
The one good thing about the titles being done is no one has to race safe. Everyone can just go for it. So, yeah, that's about all I got. Adrian, send us off.
Yes, that's it. Thank you all so much for watching or for listening. We've had a big roadblock with our Facebook page. The Facebook does not believe that I am the person that I am. It, for some reason, thinks I'm a KGB agent that's pretending to be an American. That's not actually me. So hopefully we'll have that up soon. Once we do, we'll start posting about it. And of course, by next week, it'll be up and we'll bring it up again. And also in the off season, we're going to be doing, we'll be posting like classic F1 clips. We're going to be recording hopefully some races between me and RJ in the F1 game. And also I've been thinking about starting to stream some Formula One along with some other games. So I've been thinking about starting that. Of course, we'll mention that once that is actually happening. But if I do start streaming F1, we'll of course bring RJ into the mix whenever he wants to, and then hopefully that will lead into some lot more content potential for this podcast. So stick around, check us out on Twitter, if Twitter's still around by the time this comes out, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at HarderSoftF1, and we're on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast, HarderSoft F1 Podcast. Thank you all so much. See you next week.